Alright everyone, I'm going to record a video just to get you through this hands-on discussion because I think it's a good one and it does require a few steps. So now that we're towards the end, and at this point this will be your week 6 I believe, hands-on, we will have almost finished at this point the James Williamson HTML fundamentals. So let's actually do some coding. So I hadn't said this before, I realized, and somebody had asked me, and I think it's been a good idea, but I haven't done it or required it, is for you to code along with the exercises he's done it. And I suspect some of you have done this without me saying it. Okay? So, but if you didn't, and even if you didn't, here's your opportunity. So I'm going to show you how to download his final project. I'm going to have you do some changes, and then I'm going to show you how to upload that up into Google Drive and show you how to host it up on Google Drive. Now, this you're working right now or in week 5 on looking at hosting options, but I just thought I'd throw this one out there. We will also look at GitHub's hosting option because it is good as well. Okay, so over here in lynda.com, right, if you have looked at the exercise files, right, and this shows you all the exercise files, so I'm just going to download them. Now right now I happen to be using my Mac, and let me just, so you can see this, it doesn't matter, right, so it doesn't matter if this is Windows or Mac. They both will download a zip file, so hopefully you know how to deal with a zip file, but if not, you just click on it. Now on Mac, which is kind of nice, it actually automatically unzipped the contents and place the folder. On Windows, you have to select extract all, but otherwise it's the same process. So here is the directory, right? So here are the exercise files, and here is that last project that he finishes up. So right here, okay? All right, cool. So you can use, so what we're going to do, so just back here, right, in Canvas. First, I'm going to have you update the H1 and H2 with your own content. I'm going to have you add a new page. I'll walk you through that. You'll call it Ask James. You'll write 2 questions you might have for James, and then you'll update all the other pages to include this new page. Okay, so let's just walk through that. So here we are. Now what are you going to use? First, here we are. Here is the directory, and here's all the files. Okay, so we're going to start with the index file. So if you don't already have an editor that you like, what you can do on your system is you probably already have something, Windows or Mac, that will do basic HTML edits. So you don't really for this assignment have to, but you will throughout the course of this class get to select an editor that you want to use. Now I personally use a product called WebStorm. I've been using Sublime, I've used Atom. There's a lot of great editors out there, but I decided to kind of kick my coding experience up a little bit and start using this program called WebStorm. And if you want a free 1-year license to it, let me know. So I could, let me just show you this before I do this. I could just right click, and you can do this on Windows, and say open with. And what this will do is on your particular computer will tell you what you can open this with. And it's off the screen, so let me see if I can pull this up to show you, is that on a Windows or Mac computer, and let me just, you can't see it, but let me do it. There's something called Text Edit for Mac, and there's something called Notepad for Windows. So it will open that on Mac, right? But what you have to do here is you have to go Format and make it plain text. Actually, let me hang on. I'm actually that I did that wrong. I did that wrong, right? I did that wrong. So let me actually do that again. So actually, look what it did. This is actually really interesting because I had forgotten that text edit does that. It actually converted it into text itself, and that's not really what I wanted to do, right? So how would I get back to my original file? Well, there's a couple of ways I could do that. I could double click here again, and it would unzip that same folder, right, into here. There we go. So now I had that same one again. So, you know, don't let that throw you off. It's just a matter of the way I had opened it. And let me remember, with text edit, I know I could do that, but let me just go ahead and open it with WebStorm because that's really what I wanted to do anyway. Okay, so I'm going to bring my WebStorm over, right? I'm going to do open. I'm going to go to my downloads. I'm going to go to my second one. I'm going to go to here, go to the site, and open the index file. Very cool. Okay, excellent. So again, there's really no need to use something like a WebStorm, but I do recommend the more you get into coding, you start getting used to some editor, right? So here's the page itself. Now, if you want to look at the page in a browser, my editor gives me that choice as well, but just know that you can also just double click on the file and it'll bring it up. And this is just hosting it locally, and because it doesn't seem like there's anything that's needed special, it'll render the file just fine. Okay, but I could do the same thing on the browser or in the editor. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to go in here, the H1, right, and you can change this like Rio's HTML Essential. Maybe we call it Essential Learning, right? And then you could say my modifications, I don't care what you say here, okay, to the site. Okay, so that's the first thing, is on the index file you'll do that. And then here are the links, right? Here are the links he provided in each of them. So what I want you to do first is create a new file. So there's a couple ways you could do this, right? So you could do it in the editor by doing File, Save As. Well, first we'd save this. So File, Save, right? And actually I could just Control S and it'll save the file. And then I could come over to the browser, hit a refresh, and then I would see those changes. So I know I'm changing the right file. That's great. Right? So the other thing I could do here, there's multiple ways to do this. You can do File, Save As, right? That's one way. And if I do that, then I can give it a new name, right? So in this case, I could say Ask, and this is the new file, Ask James, right? Ask James HTM, and it's going in that same directory. Boom. Cool. So now on this one, right, we have the new content here, but instead of this content, you would say my questions, right? So what I want is okay, let's see. The files do not belong, right? So it's just asking me if I want to put them in a project, and for now I don't. I guess I do. Okay, so I'm going to say my questions. And then in this case, you would modify this to include two questions, right, that you would want to ask James Williamson. So that's what this assignment in here asks you to do, right? So we've done this. We've downloaded the site from lynda.com. We've updated the H1 and H2 on the index file. We then copy that index file to a new file, and we're modifying it with two questions. Okay, so the last thing you would need to do is actually add this new page to the index, the links, right? So let's go back here. Here's what I mean. So here we go. Boom, boom. Here's the index file, right? And then what you could do here is you're going to add a new link, and you can add it anywhere in here. You could add it at the beginning. You could add it anywhere. We're just teaching you how to do basic edits here. Okay. So what I do, just for fun, is I would copy this first line. Okay, I would create a new line. I'd hit return. I'd create a new line, and instead of intro, I would do ask James HTML, and I would do my questions for James Williamson. Cool. And then change the text of the hyperlink. So my questions for James, call it whatever you want, I don't care here. Okay, so now once you do that, then what you can do is copy that and open each of the files, right, in that structure, or let me do it here. Here we go, the intro file. So what I could do is open each of those individual files in there. Okay, there we go. This is actually a way I could do it. So I'd open each individual file, and that's all I'd have to make the changes to, is just to copy that in there, right? And it's probably going to ask me to add it to the project again, but no big deal. Okay. Now, again, you can use whatever you want to do this. Should be relatively straightforward to make these changes. Okay. So now we've done that, and let me see how I'm doing on time here. I think I'm doing okay. All right, so we've made the changes. I'm going to go ahead and get out. All right, I'm going to get over here, which, by the way, I can actually see here. Um, Question is, oh, hold on, let me pause and make sure I made all those changes. Okay, so I did actually have some minor things that I needed to do here, but ultimately I ended up with this modified HTML. Okay, so here we have, I think I changed this, but there's my questions for James, and then that would take me to a page that will look identical to the index file until you change it, right? And so here's where you would write your questions in here, right? Your two questions that if you had the opportunity, you would ask James Williamson. All right. All right, cool. So now that we've done this, right, now we have our directory. And I have to make sure I have the right directory, right? Because in my example, I had a couple. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to open up my Google Drive and I'm going to copy this into my Google Drive. I'll show you how to do that. So here in my Gmail, I'll go here, I'll go to my Drive, okay, and then under Drive, and it's good to keep folders here, right? So always good. I'm going to do a new folder. I'm going to call it something HTML. That'd be okay. And then under here, right, I could do this a couple of ways. But basically, what I could do here is I'm going to come back here. And I love the drag and drop feature in Google Drive, right? So I can either just click here, right? And I could pull all of these over into here, or I could do cite, whichever way I wanted to. So, let me do this one more time. Do this and this. Drag them in. Just having a little funky time evidently because of my recording. So again, I'm going to do this and this. Okay, it took a little playing with this to get this right, actually, and I ended up, and I'll show you here, I'll try it one more time, click and drag, click, hold, and it didn't work. I love that when things don't work, right? So I could do them individually. There we go. But I really like to drop them all at once. Boom, 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 right? So now they're uploading. Again, you can do this individually, but you'll need to upload the HTML file, the CSS directory, the images directory, and the scripts, right? And all the files. And the reason these are listed here is because those are the ones that I'd modified, all right? So what it's doing right now is that they're all uploading, right, into this HTML that I created, and then once that's done, which it looks like it's going pretty fast, then I'm going to do the last step. Now I know this feels like a lot of work, but honestly this is such good stuff if you've never done it before, and even if you have, it's hopefully a good review, because these are kind of the way that we get started understanding HTML, how to upload. Now in this case, if you were doing it actually on a regular host, you would be using something called FTP, which you will get the experience of doing. All right, cool. All right, so now that we've done that, I'm going to go ahead and hit X here. So in Google Drive, you've experienced already sharing documents with me. But what I'm going to show you here, and this is another good thing to know, is that you can just share or change sharing options on the folder itself. So I'm going to back up one folder. In here, right, I'm going to add, share it. And so what you have to do to make this what we want is a hosting option, you have to go to advanced, and now I'm going to change this to where it's public on the web. Excellent. Public on the web. Cool. All right. I'm going to come back to this in a minute. All right. So if I come in here, you would think maybe I should be able to double click and actually see this rendered as an HTML file. But I can't do that yet. There's one more step you need to do. Over here, right, is you have to actually recreate the URL, right, and knowing this, what we call a document ID. Okay, so in Google Drive, I'm going to get out of here. So actually here is the document ID for that index file. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to come over to here. Oh, sorry, come over here. Let me do this one more time. Open a new tab. right? So actually I'm going to slow down. I'm going to copy this right here. Copy this. Because this is kind of the URL template, right? I'm going to come over here and then I'm going to grab in here just this part right here. And if this works, this will be awesome. So now on my other tab, because by the way, they're actually, and I'll fix this as we're doing it. Okay. Now this will work if my file is named index. But do you happen to remember what my file was? So in this case, it was called, right? And this is probably not the best example the way he did this because it's called intro.htm, right? So every website generally has an index.htm. So all we'll do here is we'll do intro.htm. And if it worked, ta-da! Oh my God, it worked. That's awesome, right? So now this is a regularly hosted website, right? I can click, I can go to my different pages, I can go to, so this is cool. So this is free hosting, not the best URL in the world, but hopefully you can get through that. So just to review, right? You'll download out of the Lynda site, right? The zip file, you'll modify it, you'll add a new page, you'll make sure every page has that new Ask James HTM. You'll upload that into Google Drive into a folder, and then you will make that folder public, and then you will recreate, matter of fact, let me just go ahead and do this now, this URL, finding the document ID, we call it here, right? And then this will be called, right? The reason that it was like that is I got it off the web. Intro.htm, not HTML. And actually we could talk about why sometimes you see HTM and HTML and it's really about the server. But for now, this is good. All right, I hope you have fun with this. All you have to do here is provide us a link, provide us a little, note on your experience of doing it, and that will be it. And hopefully this will be a really good exercise for all of us to get through. Again, you can use whatever program you want to edit it. I actually was trying to show you text edit. That didn't work so great on the Mac. There's so many wonderful editors out there. Notepad on Windows. Everything, almost every operating system has a default editor that you can use. But again, I recommend at some point you're going to upgrade your editor, and you're going to do that in this class, but not for this exercise. All right, if you need me, come see me, reach out on chat. Talk to you later.